Hi there, and Merry Christmas. Welcome to Green Shoe Conversation, episode 30. I'm Stephanie Cochran, the executive director for the Green Shoe Foundation. And if you're watching this live today, it is actually Christmas Day. So we want to wish everybody a very, very Merry Christmas. And with that, I have my whole team today. And so Merry Christmas, guys.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
Yeah, so we've got Miss Teresa Deck, our clinical director. You can wave, Teresa. And then I've got Miss Rebecca Holt with us, one of our therapists, and Stephen Brinkworth, one of our other therapists. And I've also got Miss Amanda Newland, our social media and marketing director. So we are able to drag her into this conversation. She's usually our behind the scenes, getting us loaded up kind of thing. So how's everybody doing?
Good.
I know. So fast year, and which I guess is a good thing, but we kind of wanted to get together today and just talk about our favorite kind of Christmas holiday traditions. One thing, Amanda, that you had us do that really was kind of a lot of fun is you asked us all to think of our favorite Christmas songs, and you put together a Spotify playlist.
Yeah.
And so anybody actually can go and search Green Shoe Holiday Playlist.
Mhm.
It's right there. We all kind of selected some of our favorite songs. I think initially you said, hey, just give me 2 or 3. And we're like, no.
Yeah. Got like 30 from each of you.
So, here's our music. And it's fascinating. Music is something that kind of is important to all of us, or we kind of integrate, throughout our lives. Last night was so special, Teresa, when you played the piano for us. It was just absolutely beautiful, and of course, Rebecca, you're sitting there with your guitars behind you. So I know how important music is, for all of us. So I'm going to be asking really hard question, because maybe pick one song, not your favorite, because I know just from past conversations, we all have lots of favorites. But maybe one song that is special, has a meaning, or you just love to listen to during the holidays. So Rebecca, why don't you kick us off? What's a song?
So mine is totally like Michael Bublé comes out of his cave on December 1st in our house. So I know, you love that. But it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. We always put up our Christmas tree to that. We start with that song and go through the whole album. And it's just become a tradition that me and my husband have started. And so it's a really meaningful album, but I just love that. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
I love that. Okay, Steve, what about you?
When we were putting together the playlist, O Tannenbaum by the Vince Guaraldi Trio really brought out some childhood-like joy, and I'd kind of forgotten just how much I enjoyed that song from Charlie Brown's Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
It brought up a lot of fun memories, and really fun to have that on the playlist and enjoy hearing that again and listening to it.
Yeah. When I hear you talk about that, childhood memories for me come up too with that song, not just because of the Charlie Brown, but my dad loved a lot of the German Christmas kinds of traditions. So it just absolutely brings all that up and so much joy with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, Amanda, what about you?
I would have to say Lindsey Sterling's rendition of Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairies, just because my husband and I went to her concert a couple of years back, and it was just such a great memory. So it's just happy times, and I love that song.
And that's the electric violin, correct?
Yeah, it's a little bit more techno to it, so it's a little bit more my vibe. But yeah, no, it's really cool. I love it.
No, but if you know anything about that song, it's such a very delicate song, and she is amazing with it. So yeah, it's really neat.
She's great.
All right, Teresa, what about you?
I think my favorite is Mary Did You Know? And part of the reason that is I just made the connection this year when I wrote that down. But every time I hear it, I feel that love I have for my own children. They were born December 2nd and December 15th. So both of them, 83 and 87. And so Christmas time was very special, especially those first years that they were born. But the one lyric, the one line in it that really gets to me, it says, Mary, did you know when you kissed your baby's face, you kissed the face of God? And I thought, oh, it just brings a lot of joy. And it's because of my children too. And so that was very special to me.
I think one of my favorites, and I have so many, Silent Night. Not just that that's the song I remember always singing at, Christmas Eve services, but I used to sing that to my kiddos no matter what time of year as their lullaby. And so that song just, for me was a kind of one we did year round that I just absolutely loved, Silent Night. So, but what was funny is when we put this playlist together, I loved them. We've got Your Mean One, Mr. Grinch. There's tons of different things. And oh goodness, let me see. The John Denver song. Which one's that? That was on the playlist. Isn't there a John Denver song? One of his Christmas? Okay, maybe not. Maybe I'm just making that up. Who knows? Maybe
We can add it.
we can add it. Yeah, and I was kind of like, I wonder who picked this one. And I kind of thought it might have been Rebecca, but maybe not. So she's like, no. But yeah, it's so fun, and it's fun to listen to that as we're kind of going through. So, okay, let's jump back a little bit, and especially because we talk a lot about things we learned as, when we were kiddos. What was one of y'all's favorite childhood memories? So let me start with Teresa.
Okay. One of my favorite memories, and that's because it's memorialized in a little 8mm movie that I had put on a CD, but my sister and I were snowflakes. So we were dressed up as little snowflakes. Mother made the little white costumes. I think we were in the school play, but we come dancing down the hallway and around the tree with the little tinkle. And I remember throwing a fit because it was itchy. That little sparkly was itchy. But I just kept smiling and dancing and acting like it was so much fun. But it was a special time. And watching the home movies of that felt like a little angel dancing with the little gold glitter around the skirt. That was a fun memory. So.
Oh, neat. What about you, Steve?
We've talked about Christmas traditions involved a lot of travel for me. And so one of the things that I really enjoyed was on Christmas Eve, as everything else is done, we're all starting to wind down for the day. My mom's mom decorated her Christmas tree with tinsel. And I don't know if you guys remember seeing those trees, but from trunk to the end of the limb. And those lights would just sparkle inside that tree like it was magic. And she saved the tinsel every year. And so that tree held a lot of memories of previous years of being done up like that too. But that stillness and the shine of those lights against the tinsel on that tree while everything else was dark, it was just magical.
What about you, Rebecca?
Well, it's a good memory, but it's funny as an adult reflecting on probably what it's like for parents to shop for children. So there was a year that this toy Little Miss Makeup was like what everyone wanted. And I remember Christmas morning coming down, and I had a pink duffel bag with a note from Santa that he was working on making more Little Miss Makeups because it was, a very popular item. And I just remember throwing a fit that I got a pink duffel bag. And so as an adult, I look back and I think my poor mom, I know she probably tried to find that, but yeah, little Rebecca wasn't happy with a pink duffel bag.
Yeah, I think we were talking about that because again, and Amanda, you'll get to find this out. I cannot tell y'all the amount of what Christmas Eve staying up till midnight or 2 a.m. trying to assemble things or finding that one piece to make it fit and work. Oh my goodness. So yeah, Santa didn't want to leave notes, but sometimes had to figure things out. So one of my favorite childhood, memories actually, every little girl or any little boy even will ask for a pony for Christmas. And so I remember the Christmas I got a pony.
Wow.
But I think more importantly, I remember my parents' face because it didn't come from them, my granddad. Me and my sister Shetland ponies. And I was I was either 7 or 8. And so my sister was about 6. But I love that memory and how excited he was. And he thought it was funny that we were kind of like, oh, we didn't get anything under the tree, you know, when we went to the ranch. And so he had to take us out to the barn for our Christmas, you know, to get those 2 ponies. So, well, Amanda, what about you?
I had kind of have to go with Stephanie, or not Stephanie, with Rebecca, sorry. I also am notorious for throwing fits when I was younger. So my mom actually sent me a meme this morning, because every year I get reminded of it, is a meme of this older girl, and she's dressed up for Christmas, and it says, I'm dressed like my sister. And then the younger sister is dressed just the same as her, but it says, I'm dressed like my sister, and she's smiling. So it was every Christmas, my sister and I would get the same things, and I would hate it because I was like, oh, she's just like me. Why can't she do her own thing? And I would throw tantrums all the time because I was just never happy. So, but yeah, I get reminded about how big of a brat I was and ungrateful I was. So, but now it's really funny.
Okay, well then, what's your favorite Christmas tradition that either you or your family do?
We really don't have traditions. We kind of always, I mean, I guess the tradition was travel. That seems to be the theme. Our family was always the ones going around from place to place. And even Zach and I, as we, you know, started adulting, we were traveling to relatives. So maybe traveling is the tradition. So, but this year has been interesting because we've been able to like reflect on like what new traditions we could start. So we even talked about maybe starting to go to like Broken Bow for Christmas, just like our little family. And if somebody wants to come, they can come, just so we can kind of have like that grounded and rooted tradition to look forward to. So
That's awesome. What about you, Rebecca?
Well, my family, you know, we don't really buy presents for each other, but we still do stockings.
Mm.
And that was one of, you know, I remember me and my brother, we would like, because we had stairs, we would just, you know, fall asleep on the stairs waiting for Santa to come fill our stockings. And so we still make a point to do stockings, and that's something we still do.
Oh, I love that. What about you, Steve?
There's 2 that come to mind. The first one started from my mom's childhood and getting really excited and anxious about Christmas to the point that she'd get sick. And so the tradition was on Christmas Eve, you get to open one present to help kind of quell some of that anxiety. So there's kind of a tradition of one present being opened on Christmas Eve. But the other that really I found some enjoyment with as an adult, again, was driving around looking at Christmas lights while listening to Christmas music.
Mm-hmm.
I used to drive a 28 passenger bus with folks on it through different parts of the city to go look at Christmas lights. And as an adult, that really kind of re-fostered that enjoyment of seeing everybody celebrate kind of on the outside of our houses, see what the neighborhoods have done. So those 2 come to mind.
Yeah, people get really creative now. So it's really fun. Teresa, what about you? Favorite tradition?
Christmas Eve, we would always try and go to the Christmas Eve candlelight service, and that was always special, whether it was earlier or later, a midnight service or, you know, an early one before dinner. But that candlelight service and singing Silent Night when they lit the candles and a cappella, and it was just, that was a tradition that really I started with my kids and my family, but it has just been very special. And so I identified with Steve. We would allow one present on Christmas Eve too, so they would maybe go to sleep. So that was it. And Christmas morning was always a big breakfast with lots of goodies, and just that was always fun, and opening our presents in our pajamas, and that was always great fun, and eating all those good homemade cinnamon rolls and things like that. And so those are some traditions that we had.
Yeah, I
How
know.
about you?
We have so many, and we actually get to do one tonight. So I'm kind of excited, even though, you know, I've got a 21-year-old and a 17-year-old. They're both like, okay, Mom, when are we doing Santa cookies? So the tradition is we'll do our Santa cookies tonight, and then we watch Die Hard. So, I mean, again, House of Boys. Die Hard is a very important Christmas movie.
Mhm.
And I can't, well, probably as long as the boys were old enough to watch Die Hard, and also, thanks to TNT, we were able to watch sometimes, with the little cut version. But no, so we'll do cookies tonight and then we'll watch the movie. But there's so many things that, traditions, and, we have been talking, oh my goodness, since we started, this podcast. And really this podcast came out of when we had to quarantine, the idea of it and being able to communicate with people and talk about issues. And again, here we are saying this again, the holidays look different, but listening to you guys talk just now, Steve, when you said going out and looking at Christmas lights, I can still do that. There's so many traditions that COVID hasn't stopped. The pandemic hasn't stopped. We're still doing Christmas Eve service. Now, it's going to be at home this year, but we still get to hear the message and we still get to sing the song and do all of that. What about you guys? Anything that may look different, or, Amanda, you just said it, in such a great way of trying to find the new traditions or new things this year. Not being about what am I missing, but yeah. What is anything new you guys are doing for the holidays, or that just might look different?
We just started watching movies like every night, like Christmas movies, starting last night. So that's been really nice. And we're like in pajamas and we'll do hot chocolate. So it's just kind of nice to be alone and enjoy the holiday coming into Christmas Day. So it's been fun.
Yeah. Teresa, what about you?
It was this morning I just found it. It was from the Bible app, but they have a recorded version of the story of Jesus' birth from Luke. And so I thought, oh, that would be cool to play for my grandkids. I'm going to get to see my grandkids on Christmas Eve. And you're right. We're going to watch the Christmas Eve service, but I thought we can get our own candles and light our own candles at home for those grandkids and listen to the service at home, and then let them listen to the story again, and have them, look at that light and the fire and the candle and the what that reminds them of, and the symbol of the light at Christmas. So that's what we're going to do.
Well, when you're talking about that, that reminds me of a very, very special tradition for us. My dad reads the story before we open presents, and he has done that as long as I can remember. And when the boys were little, they would sit and they would read from the story from a book that maybe they could read. And then my niece also did that, or he reads it out of Luke. Well, my sister can't join us this year, and so but she's like, I have to be, I have to hear Dad read the story, so Zoom. So she's, her and my brother-in-law are still going to get to Zoom in. We get to open all the presents and still get to be a part of that. So yes, that blending that tradition is great, but you know what, we'll get creative and we'll find ways so everybody gets to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Steve, what about you?
Well, unfortunately, part of the tradition for this year is each of us getting tested. That's been something we've been doing to make sure that we can, of those of us that are getting together, that we can do so safely. Victoria and I have talked about doing the same thing as Amanda mentioned, and really looking to find a space either down near Broken Bow, Two Springs, but finding a space that we're not going to do this Christmas, but to start to build that ability to not be traveling to everybody else's, but to have a space and a time that's just ours. So kind of paying attention to some of those pieces we enjoy and starting to build our own routine.
That's wonderful. Rebecca, what about you?
Yeah, we're still figuring it out. It's such a weird year. But I know on Christmas Eve, there's Brandi Carlile is one of our favorite artists, and she did a campfire where she played a bunch of Christmas songs. And so we're going to watch that. And on Christmas Eve, I always drink 1 glass of eggnog. That's all I can take for the year. So I will enjoy my eggnog and some live music from a really wonderful musician. So
That's awesome. Well, and we want to encourage everyone to do that, to find, do their traditions, find ways to be creative, especially during the holiday season. But guys, this is our last, podcast of the year. So, kind of hard to believe, but I am so grateful to each and every one of you for everything you have, brought to these podcasts, your insight, your humor, everything, even the podcast where it stopped in the middle and we had to figure out how to splice it together. Thank you, Amanda. That was awesome. One thing we just, we live by is our perfectly imperfect. And this has been great. And we are so grateful to everyone, our participants this year who have come in and have been so amazing, with doing the retreats with us, and all of our friends and family who support us. And there is not enough gratitude in the world that I can say for our founder, who has shown us so much love and support. And this is something that is so truly deep for him. And we just absolutely are so appreciative for everything that he has done for us. So with that, I want to wish everyone a very, very Merry Christmas as you go in. Definitely tune in first of the year. We are all set and ready to go. We're actually going to have you guys go back and re-listen and revisit some of our conversations that we've had as we set up for our new year, and as we kind of keep pushing forward and searching for our authentic self, as we say. But with that, I want to wish everyone a very, very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.